guys, it's Laura. Welcome back. Today's video is going to be my most anticipated book releases for the winter season. So for the winter season, I'm including the months December, January, and February. And since we are in December, some of these books have already come out. So let's talk about them. So let's get right into the video, starting with December 1st. I already have the book, and that is A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year. This is the fourth and final book in the An Ember and an Ashes series. This series, oh my goodness, when I discovered it 5 years ago, I got an arc of An Ember and the Ashes, and it was just, it completely blew my mind. I was screaming from the rooftops for everyone to read that book, and 5 years in the making, we finally reached the end, and I'm so excited to find out how all of my favorite characters' stories wraps up, but I'm also really scared to find out what happens. But yes, coming out on December 8th, we have A Universe of Wishes. This is a We Need Diverse Books anthology edited by Danielle Clayton, and it has a lot of amazing authors in here. We've got Libba Bray, who's one of my favorites, Victoria Schwab, Natalie C. Parker, Danielle Clayton, of course, Zoraida Cordova, which is an author that I've been wanting to read from for a while, Tochi Onyebuchi, Marco Shero, Rebecca Roanhorse, a lot of great authors. A young adult fantasy short story collection. It says this powerful and inclusive collection contains a universe of wishes for a braver and more beautiful world. Stories about a princess without need of a prince, a monster long and misunderstood, memories that vanish with a spell, and voices that refuse to stay silent in the face of injustice. It sounds perfect. I've really been enjoying anthologies that I've been reading this year, so I'm excited to pick this one up and give it a try. The next book I want to talk about is actually a graphic novel series, and it's coming out on December 5th. This is Spell on Wheels Volume 2. So now I read Spell on Wheels Volume 1, I can't remember when I read it. I think it was last year, like last October, and I absolutely fell in love with the story. We're following 3 witches who set out on this revenge road trip in order to take back the things that were stolen from them. It is so much fun. The art is absolutely stunning. I love this so much. Give it 5 stars. So I'm really excited for Volume 2, which comes out on the 15th. And in this one, it is another road trip story. It says, the witches Andy, Claire, and Jolene find themselves back on the road traveling across the American Southwest when a mysterious dark force possesses Claire. Sounds like it's going to be absolutely perfect. I cannot wait to read this one. I highly recommend this graphic novel series if you haven't read it yet. It is just so much fun. And that is it for December. So moving on to January, the first book I want to talk about comes out on January 5th, and it's called Roman and Jewel, and this is by Dana L. Davis. So I read a book by Dana L. Davis this year, which is called The Voice in My Head. It's one of my new favorites. I absolutely loved it. I loved her writing. It was so funny and also so heartbreaking. And so I think I know what to expect from this author, and I'm really excited for this one because Roman and Jewel is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, I believe. It says, if Romeo and Juliet got the Hamilton treatment, who would play the leads? This vividly funny, honest, and charming romantic novel by Dana L. Davis is the story of a girl who thinks she has what it takes, and the world thinks so too. As our main character is trying to get the lead role in this new Broadway show called Roman and Jewel, which is a Romeo and Juliet inspired hip opera featuring a diverse cast and modern twist on the play. This sounds so good. I cannot wait to read this. Definitely check this book out when it comes out on January 5th, like I said, and definitely check out her other book, The Voice in My Head. It was so good, and I think that Dana L. Davis is like a criminally underrated author, so definitely check her out. On January 12th, we have Across the Green Grass Fields. This is by Shauna McGuire. This is the 6th book in the Wayward Children series, and if you don't know, the Wayward Children series follows a group of children who have found these doors to magical worlds, for example Narnia or Wonderland, and these worlds happen to fit them perfectly. It's their home, it's where they belong, but for whatever reason they get kicked out of these worlds and end up back in reality, in the real world, and they find it very hard to cope, and so they are sent to Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, which is a place where they go to learn more about these particular worlds that they go to, find solace in other kids who have gone to other worlds and are now stuck in our world, and also wait for their door to reopen. This is apparently a good entry book into the series if you haven't started the series yet, so definitely check this one out. This one takes place in the Hooflands, which is a very equestrian style world, and it's a world that we haven't been to before, and I'm just super excited to read this one. I love every single book in this series, and I know that this is going to be amazing. So yes, very excited to get to this one. Also on January 12th is another book that I'm super excited about. She's one of my favorite authors, even though I've only read the 2 books that she's put out so far. I love her, and that is Angie Thomas. The book that's coming out on the 12th is Concrete Rose. So I'm sure that you know Angie Thomas. She wrote The Hate U Give as well as On the Come Up, but this actually is a prequel to The Hate U Give, I believe, because this follows Star's father from The Hate U Give when he was young, the 17-year-old Maverick Carter. So we're following him when he was younger, and we're hearing about what happened to him, and I'm so excited. Her writing is incredible. It's so real and authentic and down to earth, and I love that about her, and I know that I'm absolutely going to adore this book. So I cannot wait for this to come out. I will be picking it up as soon as it does and reading it. Coming out on January 19th, we have We Free the Stars by Hafsa Faizal. So this is the second and final book in the Sands of Arawiya duology, the first book being We Hunt the Flame. I absolutely adored this book so much. It is a desert fantasy. We're following a young woman who has to disguise herself as a man in order to provide for her village and her family, because she is a huntress, but she can't be known as a woman. And every day she goes into this deadly forest called the Ars, I think it is, and this forest, anyone who goes in it comes out mad if they come out at all. But she's able to go in and come out and be fine. And the forest is slowly creeping into the land. Every day it grows closer and closer to the land. Not only that, but the land itself is cursed. And so she gets sent on this dangerous mission to this very dangerous island in order to find a way to break the curse on her land. And she meets up with this deadly assassin prince, and oh my god, the dynamic between them. I adore this book so much. It's one of my favorite books of the year. I read it this year, and I cannot wait to read the second book and to see what happens. I am so excited. I absolutely adored Hafsa Faizal's writing, and the world and the characters, they just meant so much to me. Also on the 19th of January, we have Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. Nnedi Okorafor is the author of the Binti trilogy, which I read a few years ago, absolutely loved. I think I'm really going to love this one. This is another novella, and it is a adult sci-fi novella, and I haven't read the entire synopsis because it's a novella. I don't want to know too much, but the first few lines are very interesting, so I'm going to read them to you. It says, "She's the adopted daughter of the angel of death. Beware of her, mind her. Death guards her like one of its own." And I mean, if that doesn't suck you in, then nothing will. So yes, super excited about this one. Okay, moving on to February. On February 2nd, we have City of Villains. This is by Estelle Lohr, and this is a book published by Disney Hyperion, and it is about Disney villains. So the synopsis says Disney's Villains meets Gotham in this gritty fairy tale inspired crime series. We're following Mary Elizabeth Hart, who is a high school senior by day, but by night she's an intern at the Monarch City Police Department. The daughter of one of the city's most powerful businessmen ends up going missing, and Mary Elizabeth is super excited that she gets put on the case. However, this case ends up leading her down the rabbit hole of a city in turmoil. There she finds a girl with horns, a boyfriend with secrets, and what seems to be a sea monster lurking in a poison lake. Really, I don't need to read more. I am so excited for this, you guys. I love Disney so much. I love Disney villains, and I'm so excited for this new series. It's gonna be a series. This is the first book in it, and I'm dying to read this. I know that I still haven't read like the, what is it, the Disney Twisted Tales, which I have a bunch of on my shelf, and I need to get to those, but I'm super excited about this. Also on the 2nd of February, we have The History of What Comes Next. This is by Sylvain Neuvel. Now, I put this on my list simply because I read The Famous Files by Sylvain Neuvel, the first book in that series being Sleeping Giants. I fell in love with that series. I read the first book in less than 24 hours. I was obsessed. I couldn't put it down. It says, showing that truth is stranger than fiction, Sylvain Neuvel weaves a sci-fi thriller reminiscent of Blake Crouch and Andy Weir, blending a fast-moving, darkly satirical look at 1940s rocketry with an exploration of the amorality of progress and the nature of violence in a history of what comes next. I'm excited to check it out and see what I think of it. I'm a little bit nervous because it doesn't sound like something that I would absolutely love, but I trust him. Like, I trust his writing and his stories, and I think that this will be good. Also on the 2nd of February, we have Makeup, Breakup, and this is by Lily Menon. Now, if you don't know, Lily Menon is Sanjia Menon. Sanjia Menon, who wrote the Dimpleverse books, so When Dimple Met Rishi, and There's Something About Sweetie, and 10 Things I Hate About Pinky, and I love those books so much. Typically writes young adult contemporary that are diverse and full of family and culture, and this is gonna be her first adult romance. So in this story, we have our main character, Anika Dev, who has an app called Make Up, and it's been called the Google Translate for failing relationships. And then our male main character, Hudson Craft, has an app called Breakup, which is known as the Uber for breakups. I think the two of them have some sort of tension between them because of this, and then they end up like working right next to each other. And I think it's gonna be a hate to love. I can't wait to read this. Next is a book that I had no idea was coming out. I didn't hear anyone talking about this book at all. Didn't know that it was happening until I saw Jade from Bedtime Bookworms anticipated releases video, and she mentioned this, and so I had to put it on the list because this is an author that I do enjoy. This book is coming out on the 9th of February, and it is called Game Changer. This is by Neil Shusterman. Neil Shusterman wrote the Arc of a Scythe trilogy, which I read this year and really enjoyed, so I'm really hoping to enjoy this one as well. Neil Shusterman has really interesting concepts that just make you think. So we're following Ash, and Ash takes a hit on the football field and is apparently knocked into another dimension, which sounds so good. I'm not even gonna read the rest of the synopsis. I mean, multiple dimensions, multiverses, these are things that I absolutely love in books, and I think that I can count on Neil Shusterman to do a good job with this. So super excited to get to this, and really glad that I found out that this was coming out. Coming out on February 9th as well, we have The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. So this was originally supposed to come out this year, and then I got pushed back because of COVID, and it's finally coming out in February, and I'm super excited for it. Obviously, I already have a copy. I got this copy in a fairy loot box, and I still haven't read it yet. I don't know why, but I guess I wanted to wait until it was closer to the date of release because I wanted to be able to talk about it with other people. So that's why I haven't read it yet, but I'm super excited to. This follows a main character who is about to take this blood ceremony, which determines whether she will become a member of her village or not. And at this ceremony, her blood is the wrong color. It is gold instead of red, and gold is the color of impurity apparently, and she is taken in by this mysterious woman who brings her to other girls who are just like her, whose blood is gold, and become like this great warrior. I don't know. It sounds amazing though. I absolutely love this cover. I mean, can you look at that? It's stunning. On the 16th of February, we have A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 4th book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. This one is following Nesta and Cassian, and I'm super excited. I love Sarah J Maas and I really love this series. I just eat it up. It's so addictive, it's so fun, and I love what she does with the fae creatures, and I love all of it, and I'm super excited for this. And finally, the last book that I have to talk about comes out on the 23rd of February, and it is The Initial Insult by Mindy McGinnis. So I read The Female of the Species by her. It was an incredible but also heartbreaking book. I gave it 5 stars. I read it years ago, but ever since reading it, I knew that I wanted to read more by Mindy McGinnis, and I just never got around to it. But hearing about this book got me super excited because it's an author that I've read from before and know I love, and also Mindy McGinnis draws inspiration from Edgar Allan Poe and masterfully delivers a dark, propulsive mystery in alternating points of view that unravels a friendship forevermore. I adore Edgar Allan Poe, and I'm always looking for a good retelling, a good Poe-inspired story. I cannot wait. There you go. Those are all the books that I am anticipating for the months of December, January, and February. Do let me know down in the comments if you think I missed something that I should be looking forward to. Also, let me know if you are excited for any of these books that I mentioned today. I love hearing from you down in the comments. But that is going to be it from me today. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys!